Hey, welcome back to my show. Again, I am David Taylor. And before we begin, I want you to hit like and subscribe. Hey, and maybe even share the content if you find this interesting. I came across this individual. His name is Jolly Good Ginger on the internet, as we all do, scrolling endlessly on, I think I found it on Facebook, but I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. Now, what I want to do with my whole show is I want to try to help explain the actual real narrative that is going on in our country, as opposed to these fake media narratives that the mainstream media is pushing and foisting upon the American dialectic. Okay, I want us to have a basis and a grounding of truth and fact, so we know and understand what's going on right now. Now, I came across this video. Jolly Good Ginger. He's a veteran, United States military veteran. Thank you very much for your service, big dog. I, too, am a United States military veteran. And that's why I'm making this, as a matter of fact. I think that it is extremely important that veterans, that all of us who have sworn that oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, I think it's important for us all to get together and have a dialogue. So this is my attempt. I do it I do it in all good faith. I find that a lot of the left, they don't make arguments in good faith, but I'm going to try to make my argument in good faith, and we can see where we land. So let's begin.
We were told that Afghanistan trained the people that flew the planes into the World Trade Center.
Yep. That's exactly what we were told.
We were told that we had to go into Afghanistan to fight the terrorist organization who had egregiously attacked America.
Yep. Right again, big dog. Right again.
We were told we had to go to Iraq because they had weapons of mass destruction. They were harboring the same terrorists that we were fighting in Afghanistan, and that they would inevitably use those weapons and send those terrorists to our soil.
That is definitely the fear that they used to push upon us to start those wars. I mean, we all know now that, they didn't have any weapons of mass destruction, and that Afghanistan had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11.
We were told that they hated us because of our freedoms. They hated us because of our Constitution. They hated us because we weren't like them. We were told that they hated us because we had morals and values and we didn't live the way they live. Obviously, that's what they told us as soldiers, so that we would go in these countries and occupy them. Obviously, I know better now.
Do you? Do you know better? Do you?
So why do I tell you this story? Because we were told that the terrorists threatened our way of life. What is our way of life? Our way of life is a balanced government, no dictatorship. Our way of life is free of religious rule, but instead ruled by the people. Our way of life has due process of law. Remember when they used to scream Sharia laws coming to America? Now, to be clear, the people that screamed that have no idea what actual Sharia law is, but the way they would describe it, it was this barbaric law without due process where people were punished and even killed for anything. And our way of life, our freedoms didn't allow for that. And that's why the terrorists hated us. The word terrorist kind of became this way around the law, this way to circumvent the very way of life, the Constitution, the law that we claimed was the reason the terrorists hated us. Now, we are sending people to foreign prisons without due process.
Yes, that's exactly what they told us. They told us our very way of life threatens them because of our freedoms and a whole bunch of other dog whistles and BS. What is our way of life? A balanced government? I'd actually argue that we don't have a balanced government. I'd argue that the new world order, the liberal world order, has had a grip on our country because of the foreign they produce, the fear, excuse me, I was going to use fear porn, because of the fear corn that they use, that obviously I can tell just by looking at you that you have partaken in a lot of their fear corn. All right. So do we have a balanced government? Well, relatively as balanced as it's ever been. Do we have any dictators? No, there aren't any dictators. I have to wonder if you kept this same fervor over dictators doing what they want to do as far as presidents are concerned when the executive, when they locked us down during COVID. Were you ready to rise up then too? Did you see that as dictatorship style, governance? Does this translate the same during that time period? Because we're so free to walk around, and there's no religious rule where nobody's being forced to pray, nobody's being forced to worship God, although you should not be forced, but you should worship God. But again, that's your choice. We're for the most part ruled by the people, but we've got a lot of issues with the oligarchs and frankly the communists that have been pretty much taking over our government. But the fact of the matter is all American citizens are getting due process. All right? And you want to try to say that due process is pretty much gone, okay? And you kind of equate it with Sharia law. Now, Sharia law is the ruling of a country via religious edicts, okay? We don't really understand Sharia law. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm saying that everything you've heard is a pure product of that fear. Okay, and so that's what they did, was they equated Sharia law, the scariness of religious rule, with the extremism, and that's how they kind of psychologically got us to get into these wars. Was they basically freaked the hell out of us. And when I hear, as of late, anybody talking about people are being deported without getting due process, there's one case that comes to mind, of course. It's the Abrigo Garcia case currently going on, and how the court, who really doesn't have the power, I mean, the Supreme Court has the power to do certain things, but only when, anyways, I'm trying to jump ahead when I should back up. Okay. You've been lied to, my friend. The Supreme Court never mandated the return. Okay? He was mandated to facilitate. Trump hasn't violated that order. Abrigo Garcia has had due process. Abrigo Garcia was seen in court 2016, 2019, and found to be an illegal alien gang member. No court disputes this fact. These facts are indisputable. And he was given a deportation order. He was ordered deported immediately. But then in 2019, he was given an order, withholding order. That's what it is. So do you know the difference between a withholding order and a deportation order? Because I bet you don't. Most people don't. And as a matter of fact, I didn't know the difference until I looked into this case, like you should do before you declare the entire United States a lawless, unconstitutional wasteland. A deportation order means they got to go home now, right this second. A withholding order does not mean that they get to stay, not in any way, shape, or form. A withholding order means that they need to leave, but they don't or shouldn't be sent back to their country of origin. That is what a withholding order is. And that's what Abrigo Garcia had against him. It wasn't that they said he shouldn't be deported, that he was somehow given some kind of special status to stay in our country. None of that is true. Although all of that is being pumped by the mainstream media, especially like MSNBC, all of them. You know, I pick out MSNBC because to me they're a borderline terrorist organization. We need to call them MSDNC. They literally warp the people's minds. They're a propaganda arm of the communists, in my opinion, the hardcore, deep left, the deep state. All right, I don't know if you understand, but Abrigo Garcia got full, complete access to due process in every step, and in every shape, and in every form. It was kind of maybe a small mistake that he got sent back to El Salvador. It was kind of a violation of the withholding order. Where was he supposed to go? Since he has been declared a terrorist because of his affiliation with MS-13, which is a good thing. Think about it. We've got gangs who are dealing poison, amphetamines. What's that other? I can't even think of it. But that other drug that's pouring in through our borders that are literally killing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Americans every year. They're trafficking humans. They deal in death. So he was accidentally sent to El Salvador. That doesn't mean he was accidentally deported. No, that dude was deported on purpose. And good riddance to the terrorist scumbag. Ba 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 na 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 na. Hey, hey, goodbye. No. He was ordered deported, and he was deported. And the court, in a 9-0 ruling, said that he must be facilitated. But they also said that a lower court cannot mandate, are you listening to me? Cannot tell, basically, the President of the United States how to dictate foreign policy. The lower courts, any of the courts, they can't tell the executive branch how to conduct foreign policy. So all Trump has to do is facilitate his return. What does facilitation means? It means help him get back. That doesn't mean go into another country and kidnap a man and then bring him back. That would be a complete violation of El Salvador's sovereignty. And when the Salvadorian president, President Bukele, was asked directly on whether or not he would let Abrigo Garcia go, even the president of El Salvador had stated that Abrigo is a terrorist, even under their definition. He's not even getting out of jail in his own country for the crimes he's done. And you think he should come back? And even if he did come back, guess what? He would immediately be deported because he has a deportation order. It could have been worse. We could have sent him to Nigeria, Afghanistan. Where else could we have sent him? We'd have put him on an iceberg in the middle of the Atlantic with a bucket full of fish. I mean, what were we supposed to do? Could we send him to Mexico? Would Mexico have taken a MS-13 terrorist? How about Canada? Canada. Hey, Canada. I know how evil and mean you think the United States is. Would you be interested in taking our MS-13 gang members? I wonder if he would have such a problem if we deported him to Canada. instead of El Salvador. I mean, what is really your issue with this? He's been given full access to the law from beginning to end. It was an accident, El Salvador, but could have been Nigeria. Like I said, we could have shipped. There's a garbage island made up of all the crap from all of the countries, and it's circling inside. I think it's the Pacific Ocean. They're like, there's this one spot where it all kind of gathers, right? And that's, every time you toss out a container, just all sorts of crap are building up in this area. That's why they call it an island, because literally you can step out and walk onto it. If we would have shipped him there, would you be cool with it? Because that would indeed and completely be within lines of the withholding order. Kind of seems a little bit more humane that we send him back to his own country. Now, as far as anybody else is concerned with their due process, let's talk about that. Okay? The President of the United States has decreed an Enemies War Powers Act. Excuse me, I got a bunch of marbles in my mouth. He is basically said that all of these people are terrorists. They're killing a bunch of Americans and they need to get out of here. Thank God. So yeah, there are going to be people, illegal aliens, people who've come into this country who are not going to stand up in front of a judge and get 5 minutes of FaceTime with a judge, because we have about 40 million people to deport, but it's completely legal. Make no doubt about it, it's completely legal. These are War Powers Acts that have been given to the President of the United States over the lifetime of our governance. This isn't even the first time it's been used. It's the first time it's been used to this extent, but it's not the first time it's been used. If an illegal alien who broke into our country walks up in front of the judge, all the judge has to say is, are you an American citizen? Well, they will have to answer no. Then they'll ask, did you come here legally? Do you have paperwork? Do you have any proof that anybody in the government has allowed you to come here? And again, well, they'll have to say no. And then the judge will be like, bang, bang, bang. Bye. You're an illegal alien here illegally, and you get to go. We're just speeding up the process. And it's well within the boundaries and within the framework of the Constitution and the United States government. Now, if President Trump hadn't declared a national emergency, then you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. That illegal alien would get his 5 minutes in front of the court, and under any other administration, especially under the Biden administration, man, you could be here years before you were even seen, and even after you were seen and you weren't given legal status, you could have stayed because nobody had come after you because they didn't protect us. So please forgive all of us who don't really see any kind of constitutional crisis, any constitutional issues with an illegal alien gang member terrorist who was sent back to his home country, which is kind of in violation of a court order, but it's not quite in a violation of court order. Again, like I said, it's they call it a wobbler. They really do. And again, it could have always been worse. We could have sent him to the trash island, garbage island.
Now plainclothes agents are kidnapping people off the street, no evidence in court, no due process.
Do you hear yourself? You're trying to say that plainclothes officers are kidnapping, otherwise known as arresting, and they are getting all the due process that should be afforded to terrorist organizations and to people who are actively trying to take over our country. Do you even listen to yourself?
People are being punished without a crime.
At a bare minimum, breaking into our country is a crime. Illegal entry into a country is a crime. What do you think happens when you break into other countries? Do you think it's not a crime? Do you think you can break into Mexico or Canada? Did you know in Germany, before they deport you, if you go there illegally, you get sent to jail for a year and a day? So you do know that just the mere illegal entry into our country is illegal.
Kidnapped off the street and human trafficked to foreign prisons.
Kidnapped and human trafficked, arrested and deported?
We were told that is what terrorists do. We were told that they hate us because that's not us, because we are better than that. We were told that they hated our way of life because we were so different from them. The only thing I see is us being exactly what they told us that they were. The reason I was sent to these countries is because I raised my right hand and I said, I solemnly swear to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But now I sit here a veteran of this country, and I'm afraid that I've come to the conclusion that there is no Constitution to defend. Our president has suspended the Constitution. He has disobeyed the direct decision of a unanimous Supreme Court 9-0. He's continually defied federal judges' orders. He has authorized the kidnapping of legal residents off the streets by plainclothes agents and trafficked them to foreign nations and put them in torturous prisons, denying them their constitutional rights. No matter who you are, if you're in America, you are protected by the Constitution, citizen or not. This is who I was told we are. What we do now matters more than anything we've ever done in our life. One day your grandchildren will ask you what you did now. What are you going to tell them?
So he hasn't suspended the Constitution. He has merely invoked War Powers Act that you don't like, that are very clearly within his presidential powers, have been used before, and frankly, are needed now because we've been invaded, literally. This isn't a violation of our Constitution. It isn't even a suspension of our Constitution. Did he disobey the federal court's orders? No. He's never disobeyed a single federal court's orders. He was told to facilitate. Facilitate. I'm sure that if there was a way and the El Salvadorian president said, sure, we'll give him back, that president would lend a plane. That's as much as he has to do, but the El Salvadorian president is not letting go of that terrorist. He hasn't defied any federal judge's orders, and as a matter of fact, a lot of the federal judges have way overstepped their bounds in that 9-0 decision that the court has actually said that the courts don't have the authority to dictate foreign policy. The courts can't make him go into another country, take out a citizen from that country, and bring him back. And it was a minor violation of the withholding order. Minor violation, but where the heck was he supposed to go? He could not stay here, and he was ordered deported. And legal residents are being kidnapped, The reason why he has revoked a lot of the legal residence's status is because most of them weren't vetted over the past 4 years. If you haven't realized yet, the last 4 years, we've been under a totalitarian nightmare. They have been literally trying to bring in every single illegal alien from all other countries in order to try to change the makeup of our country from American to something else, so that the Democrats would always have a majority of voters. Because if you're an illegal alien and the Democrats let you in and let you stay, who are you going to vote for once they give you the right to vote? Which they've been working their damnedest to try to do. They've been really working hard trying to get illegal aliens to vote because they were trying to change the makeup of our country. So now we're in the middle of an emergency. Constitutional powers are being acted. That's all. No constitutional crisis, no nothing. And when I have to answer that question as to what I will tell my grandchildren I did, I will tell them that I stood alongside the greatest president in American history. I stood up to the New World Order. I stood up for American values. And now my child has, my grandchildren will be able to experience things that I've never been experiencing, like probably home ownership, like an affordable home ownership. We could probably get that down, given the whole makeup of the situation, less people, greater influx of tariff capital. So all told, okay, we voted for this. This is exactly what we wanted. This is what we needed. I get it's a little scary, but do you know what's even scarier? Being taken over by other countries, by military-aged males invading, coming into our country like an invasion force. That's scary.
You were all asking a lot of questions about this, and you all seem to care about it a lot. So let's see if any of you have researched anything about this issue at all. Can anyone here tell me what would happen to the illegal alien from El Salvador if he came back to the United States? Does anyone here know? Does anyone want to guess? Any of you?
He could be with his family.
Does any of you know the answer to the question? Legally, what would happen if he came back here? Does any of you know? Any of you? Guys, do you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you know the difference? Any of you, please. Do you?
Well, we're not in the government.
But you couldn't even spend 72 hours over the weekend learning the distinction, even though you've been writing and talking about it this whole time.
Steven, we're not going anywhere.
Please.
On the gold cards.
Just raise your hand. Does any of you know the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order? Do you dispute that he's an illegal alien?
No.
Okay. And do you dispute that as an illegal alien, we have the right to deport him?
He's going through the process.
He went through the legal process. So I want to be very... what I'm getting from this conversation, which is educational for me, is that not one person in the media knows the difference between a deportation order and a withholding order. Is that a fair statement? You're learning about this all for the first time right now? I guess so. Okay. So the deportation order means the judge has said he must be deported from the country. He has no right to remain here any longer. He must be removed from the country. So his only options are to be deported to his home country or another country. That's it. There's no other option. He doesn't get to stay here. He doesn't get to live here. He has no future here. He has no right to be here. He's an illegal alien. So when you keep saying return, because you've been spun up by the open borders advocates, you all seem to be operating under the illusion that he would be able to come to the United States and just continue to live here illegally. That's not an option available to him. His only choices in life are to live in El Salvador or to live in another country.
Democrats, I see you guys on here asking why MAGA agrees with everything that's happening. Why are we okay with all the chaos? Why are we okay with stock market dropping and going up and people getting deported and all this kind of stuff? You think we're evil. The reason why MAGA is okay with this is because MAGA is not a political party how you guys think of political parties. MAGA is more of a rebel alliance in a way. Let's put it that way. MAGA is not here to play political games. We are in a war with the deep state. The deep state includes the countries that surround us, a lot, if not all, of the Democratic Party and some of the Republican Party. These people that keep yelling they're trying to ruin our democracy, they're not talking about you. They're talking about their democracy. They're talking about their money. They're talking about their lies. They're talking about their corruption. They know that MAGA is here to ruin their democracy. That's why they hate us. That's why they tried to assassinate Trump. That's why they didn't want Trump back into office. That's why they tried to spin all this propaganda and lies. MAGA's not here to play politics. MAGA is here to war with the deep state. There are people, they've been lying to us for centuries. It's been going on forever. And we finally have the pieces within MAGA to start attacking these people. I know you don't trust millionaires. I know you don't trust Trump and Elon and all that kind of stuff. But we do. Because those are the pieces that we need to attack the deep state. We can't do it without the finances. We finally have the power and the finances. We have Jesus on our side. And we have a cabinet and a president who also gives reverence to Jesus Christ. Whether you believe that they are Christians or not does not matter. They give reference to Jesus Christ, and so do the followers. MAGA is here to fight the deep state, which means we are okay with the chaos. We know there's going to be short-term losses for long-term gains. We're here to fight the deep state. They don't care who dies. They don't care who starves. They don't care how many lies they have to tell. They're going to spin and fight as much as they can to stop us from beating them. The only people who don't know what's happening are the Democratic supporters. Everybody around you knows exactly the war that we're in. The countries that we're fighting, they know. The politicians, they know. The Supreme Court, they know. The only people who don't know are you, the Democratic supporters, because you're the only ones who are believing the lies.
So I hope this helps. Thank you very much for joining me. Again, I am David Taylor. Like, share, and subscribe for an individual's perspective. Peace.